Descent into chaos. Myanmar junta should immediately end the violent suppression of democratic protests. The 30th of October 2021. The decision by ASEAN to exclude Myanmar's military junta from its annual summit held on October 26 to 28 is a major setback for the general's attempts to gain regional legitimacy for the brutal regime. Ever since it seized power by toppling the democratic government of Aung San Suu Kyi in February, the junta has unleashed a reign of terror, claiming an estimated 1,000 lives. Ms. Suu Kyi, who had been the State Councillor for 5 years from 2015 heading the quasi-democratic government, has been in detention since the coup and is facing absurd charges such as illegally owning walkie-talkies. Thousands of others were arrested by the military, notorious for its reprisal of democratic protests in the past. But this time, the crisis seems much worse. Months after the seizure of power, the junta, led by General Min Aung Hlaing, is still struggling to restore order. If in the past the National League for Democracy (NLD), Ms. Suu Kyi's party, had upheld non-violence even in the face of repression, this time, NLD leaders have called for a revolution. The remnants of the old regime have formed a national unity government, which claims to be the true representative of Myanmar. In cities, protests slid into armed fighting between pro-democracy protesters and security personnel, while in the jungles, anti-junta groups joined hands with rebels for military training. The situation was so grave that the UN Special Envoy warned this month that Myanmar had descended into a civil war. One of the regional groupings with some leverage over the junta is ASEAN. In April, General Min Aung Hlaing was invited to Jakarta for emergency talks with ASEAN members. The bloc asked him to immediately end violence, start the reconciliation process and allow a regional special envoy to meet with all stakeholders, including Ms. Suu Kyi. None of these requests was met. Most recent reports suggest that the junta has been systematically torturing political prisoners. A special envoy was appointed as part of the ASEAN plan, but he was not allowed to meet Ms. Suu Kyi. Regime violence, political crises and strikes and counterattacks by protesters have all pushed Myanmar to the brink of collapse. According to the UN, some 3 million people are in need of life-saving assistance because of conflict, food insecurity, natural disasters and COVID-19. Still, the generals do not show any signs of compromise and are not even ready to talk with the NLD. Violence might allow them to hold on to power for now, but that is not sustainable. The ASEAN snub is a reminder that continuing violence could cause regional isolation of the regime, which could worsen the crisis. The international community should continue to put pressure on the junta and urgently start a reconciliation process.
As India created history by administering 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses and other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news. The 16th G20 summit began in Rome this afternoon. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is participating in the summit along with other heads of state of G20 member countries, the European Union and other invited countries and international organizations. This year, the summit is centered around the theme People, Planet, Prosperity. The thrust of the summit will be on economic and health recovery, climate change and sustainable development. The leaders will discuss the global economic and health recovery and way forward. India has been a strong advocate in the G20 for supporting equitable and affordable access to COVID-19 disease control tools, including vaccines and diagnostics through technology transfer, diversification of supply chains and production hubs. New Delhi has also proposed mutual recognition of COVID-19 vaccine certificate at G20. Tomorrow's session in the summit will be on climate change and environment and sustainable development. On the sidelines of G20 today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold meetings with the presidents of France and Indonesia, as well as Prime Minister of Singapore, and discuss ways to strengthen bilateral relations with these countries. Tomorrow, he will hold bilateral meetings with Prime Minister of Spain and German Chancellor in Rome. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met Pope Francis at Vatican City ahead of G20 summit. Sources said Mr. Modi and Pope Francis discussed a wide range of issues aimed at making our planet better, such as fighting climate change and removing poverty. The meeting, that was scheduled only for 20 minutes, went on for an hour. The Prime Minister also invited Pope to visit India. The Prime Minister reached Rome yesterday on a 5-day visit to attend the G20 summit and the World Leaders Summit of COP26 in Glasgow. Commerce Minister and India's G20 Sherpa Piyush Goyal has said that G20 nations have endorsed India's position that extensive COVID immunization is a global public good. Briefing the media during the meeting of G20 Sherpas in Rome, Mr. Goyal said the agenda of the meetings so far have included several important interventions from India.
The G20 nations have endorsed India's position that extensive COVID-19 immunization is a global public good. I'm also happy to share with you that we got tremendous support from the G20 nations for our suggestion on mutual recognition of travel documents, including testing and vaccine certificates.
Mr. Goyal said on sustainable development and food security, India insisted that policy must protect small and marginal farmers and conserve local food culture. He said on tax reforms, India has pushed the G20 nations to address the mismatch between source of generation of profits and jurisdiction where profits are taxed. He said on anti-corruption, India has contributed to the 5 think pieces related to asset recovery, information sharing, law enforcement cooperation, technology and denial of safe havens. The minister added that India has strongly pushed for the need for balancing data free flow along with trust. Mr. Goyal also said India's voice in the G20 represents the voices of less developed nations and developing nations. In Rome, Mr. Goyal participated in the 6th G20 Sherpas meeting from the 27th to the 29th of this month. The agenda of the Sherpas meeting was to finalize the Rome Declaration, which would be adopted by the G20 leaders at the summit. Over 105 crore 49 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. In the last 24 hours, a total of 14,313 new cases were reported and over 13,543 recoveries were recorded. Recovery rate is currently at 98.19%. India's active caseload stands at 1,61,555. The government has said that 2 crore 50 lakh rural self-help groups women will be provided livelihood support in the next 2 years. The Rural Development Ministry said government has launched an initiative to enable rural self-help groups women to earn at least 1 lakh rupees per annum. The ministry said, based on various models existing across the country, a detailed advisory has been issued to the state governments. Under the National Rural Livelihood Mission, poor women from different cross-sections of class and caste from self-help groups and their federations providing financial, economic and social development services to their members for enhancing their income and quality of life. All India Radio's prestigious annual Sardar Patel Memorial Lecture will be delivered this year by India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat. CDS General Bipin Rawat will talk about the role of Indian Armed Forces in nation building. The lecture will be broadcast on the occasion of Sardar Patel's birth anniversary tomorrow across All India Radio Network at 9:30 p.m. The visual version of the lecture will be telecast on DD National the same day at 10 p.m. The polling for the by-polls to 3 Lok Sabha and 29 Assembly seats spread over 13 states is going on peacefully today. Lok Sabha by-polls are being held for Khandwa Lok Sabha constituency in Madhya Pradesh, Mandi in Himachal Pradesh and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. The by-elections for 29 Assembly seats is being held in 13 states including Assam, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka, Haryana and Maharashtra. In Nagaland, The candidate of Nationalist Democratic Progressive Party (NDPP), Skoshu Yumchungar of Sangpur village was earlier declared elected uncontested to the Shamator Chessor Assembly constituency. Union Minister Amit Shah has said Uttarakhand came into existence due to former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He said the BJP government is working for the betterment of the state. He said this while launching Ghasiari Kalyan Yojana in Uttarakhand this morning. Mr. Shah said that computerization of cooperative societies is a big task. He said rural women will benefit immensely by the Ghasiari Kalyan Yojana. He said that BJP government has worked a lot during the corona pandemic. Mr. Shah said that renovation works in Kedarnath, all-weather roads and other projects will help in the development of the state. He said projects worth 85,000 crore rupees are underway in the state. Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting and Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Singh Thakur today said that the motive of the Clean India program is not only to make our country clean but also to change the mindset of people to keep their surroundings clean. He was speaking at a seminar on Clean Indian program under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav at Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Awadh University, Ayodhya. Sports and Youth Affairs Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Upendra Tiwari, also took part in the program. The Delhi High Court has cautioned the Delhi government for not preparing the statutory street vending plan. A bench comprising Justice Vipin Sanghi and Justice Jasmeet Singh yesterday observed that enough politics and mockery has been done in the matter and questioned the formation of the town vending committee for the NDMC area. In T20 Cricket World Cup, Sri Lanka was 63 for 3 in 9.5 overs against South Africa at Sharjah Cricket Stadium. When reports last came in earlier, South Africa won the toss and elected to field. In another match, England will take on Australia at 7:30 p.m. in Dubai. And that is the end of this news bulletin.